Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Shri Kartik Mas here in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So Prabhupada, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to come read your Krishna book to you every Sunday at this time. And as we always do, we like to offer our respectful obeisances to you and to each other. Nama Om Vishnuvedaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskachade Shatarane. And to each other, Vanchakalpadurvischa Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So for all of you online, you can turn to Krishna book chapter, what number is it? 48, entitled Krishna Pleases His Devotees. So towards, like maybe a few pages, 2 pages before the end, we start with Lord Sri Krishna was very much pleased by Akrura's offering of prayers. With his smile captivating Akrura more and more, the Lord replied to his submissive devotional statements with the following sweet words. My dear Akrura, in spite of your submissiveness, I consider you my superior, on the level with my father and teacher, and most well-wishing friend. You are therefore to be worshipped by me, and since you are my uncle, I am always to be protected by you. I desire you to maintain me, for I am one of your own children. Apart from this filial relationship, an exalted devotee like you is always to be worshipped by everyone. Anyone who desires good fortune must offer his respectful obeisances unto personalities like you, who are greater than the demigods. People worship the demigods when in need of some sense gratification, and the demigods offer benedictions to their devotees after being worshipped. But a devotee like you, Akrura, is always ready to offer people the greatest benediction. A saintly person or devotee is free to offer benedictions to everyone, whereas the demigods can offer benedictions only after being worshipped. One can take advantage of a place of pilgrimage only after going there, and worshiping a particular demigod involves waiting a long time for the fulfillment of one's desire. But saintly persons like you, my dear Akrura, can immediately fulfill all the desires of a devotee. My dear Akrura, you are always our friend and well-wisher. You are always ready to act for our welfare. Kindly, therefore, go to Hastinapura and see what arrangement has been made for the Pandavas.
Krishna was anxious to know about the sons of Pandu because at a young age they had lost their father. Being very friendly to his devotees, Krishna was anxious to know about them, and therefore he deputed Akrura to go to Hastinapura and get information of the real situation. Krishna continued, I have heard that after King Pandu's death, his young sons, Yudhishthir, Bhima, Arjun, Nakula, and Sahadev, along with their widowed mother, have come under the charge of Dhritarashtra, who is to look after them as their grand guardian. But I have also heard that Dhritarashtra is not only blind from birth, but also blind in his affection for his cruel son Duryodhana. The 5 Pandavas are the sons of King Pandu, but Dhritarashtra, due to Duryodhana's plan and designs, is not favorably disposed towards them. Kindly go there and study how Dhritarashtra is dealing with the Pandavas. On receipt of your report, I shall consider how to favor them. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, ordered Akrura to go to Hastinapura, and then he returned home. accompanied by Balram and Uddhava. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 48th chapter of Krishna. Krishna pleases his devotees. Hari Bol.
Haribo. Wait, we need a bigger Haribo. Haribo. Haribo after every chapter.
Chapter 49, chapter entitled Ill-Motivated Dhritarashtra. Thus, ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Agrura visited Hastinapura, said to be the site of what is now New Delhi. The part of New Delhi still known as Indraprastha is accepted by people in general as the old capital of the Pandavas. The very name Hastinapura suggests that there were many Hastis or elephants because the Pandavas kept many elephants in the capital. It was called Hastinapura. Keeping elephants in is very expensive. To keep many elephants, therefore, the kingdom must be very rich. And Hastinapura, as Akrura saw, when he reached it, was full of elephants, horses, chariots, and other opulences. The kings of Hastinapura were taken to be the ruling kings of the whole world. Their fame was widely spread throughout the entire kingdom, and their administration was conducted under the good counsel of learned Brahmanas.
After seeing the very opulent capital city, Akrura met King Dhritarashtra. He also saw grandfather Bhima sitting with him. After meeting them, he went to see Vidura and then Kunti, Akrura's cousin. One after another, he saw King Balika and his son Somadatta, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Karna, and Suyodhana. Suyodhana is another name of Duryodhana. Then he saw the son of Dronacharya, Ashwatam, as well as the 5 Pandava brothers and other friends and relatives living in the city. All those who met Akrura, known also as the son of Gandhini, were very much pleased to receive him and inquire about the welfare of their respective relatives. He was offered a good seat at his reception, and he in turn inquired about the welfare and activities of his relatives.
Yeah, we do it in a circle. So
Oh, this way. Oh, sorry.
Since he was deputed by Lord Krishna to visit Hastinapura, it is understood that he was very intelligent in studying a diplomatic situation. Dhritarashtra was unlawfully occupying the throne after the death of King Pandu, despite the presence of Pandu's sons. Akrura could understand very well that ill-motivated Dhritarashtra was much inclined in favor of his own sons. In fact, Dhritarashtra had already usurped the kingdom and was now intriguing to dispose of the 5 Pandava brothers. Akrura knew that all the sons of Dhritarashtra, headed by Duryodhana, were very crooked politicians. Dhritarashtra did not act in accordance with the good instructions given by Bhishma and Vidura. Instead, he was being conducted by the ill instructions of such persons as Karna and Shakuni. Akrura decided to stay in Hastinapura for a few months to study the whole political situation. Gradually,
Akrura learned from Kunti and Vidura that the sons of Dhritarashtra were intolerant and envious of the 5 Pandava brothers because of their extraordinary learning in military science and their greatly developed bodily strength.
Hold that thing closer to your mouth.
The Pandavas acted as truly chivalrous heroes, exhibited all the good qualities of Kshatriyas, and were very responsible princes, always thinking of the welfare of the citizens. Akrura also learned that the envious sons of Dhritarashtra had tried to kill the Pandavas by poisoning them.
Akrura happened to be one of the cousins of Kunti. Therefore, after meeting him, she began to inquire about her paternal relatives. Thinking of her birthplace and beginning to cry, she asked Akrura whether her father, mother, brothers, sisters, and other friends at home still remembered her. She especially inquired about Krishna and Balrama, her glorious nephews. She asked, does Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very affectionate to his devotees, remember my sons? Does Balrama remember us? Inside herself, Kunti felt like a she deer in the midst of tigers, and actually her position was like that. After the death of her husband, King Pandu, she was supposed to take care of the 5 Pandava children, but the sons of Dhritarashtra were always planning to kill them. She was certainly living like a poor innocent animal in the midst of several tigers. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, she always thought of him and expected that one day Krishna would come and save them from their dangerous position. She inquired from Akura whether Krishna proposed to come to advise the fatherless Pandavas how to get free of the intrigues of Dhritarashtra and his sons. Talking with Akrura about all these affairs, she felt herself helpless and exclaimed, my dear Krishna, you are the supreme mystic, the super soul of the universe. You are the real well-wisher of the whole universe. My dear Govinda, at this time you are far away from me, yet I pray to surrender unto your lotus feet. I am now grief-stricken with my 5 fatherless sons. I can fully understand that, but for your lotus feet there is no shelter or protection. Your lotus feet can deliver all aggrieved souls because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can be saved from the clutches of repeated birth and death by your mercy only. My dear Krishna, you are the Supreme Pure One, the Super Soul and the Master of all yogis. What can I say? I can simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Accept me as your fully surrendered devotee.
Although Krishna was not present before her, Kunti offered her prayers to him as if she were in his presence face to face. This is possible for anyone following in the footsteps of Kunti. Krishna does not have to be physically present everywhere. He is actually present everywhere by spiritual potency, and one can simply has to surrender unto him sincerely. When Kunti was offering her prayers very feelingly to Krishna, she could not check herself and began to cry loudly before Akrura. Vidura was also present, and both Akrura and Vidura became very sympathetic to the mother of Pandavas and began to solace her by glorifying her 5 sons, namely Yudhishthir, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, and Sahadev. They pacified her, saying that her sons were extraordinarily powerful. She should not be perturbed about them, since they were born of great demigods like Yamaraj, Indra, and Vayu.
Akrura decided to return home and report on the strange circumstances in which he found Kunti and her 5 sons. He first wanted to give good advice to Dhritarashtra, who was so favorably inclined toward his own sons and unfavorably inclined towards the Pandavas. When King Dhritarashtra was sitting among friends and relatives, Akrura began to address him, calling him Vichitravirya. Vichitravirya means the son of Vichitravirya. Vichitravirya was the name of Dhritarashtra's father, but Dhritarashtra was actually the begotten son not of Vichitravirya but of Vyasadeva. Formerly, it was the system that if a man was unable to beget a child, his brother could beget a child in the womb of his wife. Devarena Sutotpati. That system is now forbidden in this age of Kali. Akrura called Dhritarashtra Vichitravirya sarcastically because he was not actually begotten by his father. He was the son of Vyasadeva. When a child was begotten in the wife was begotten in the wife by the husband's brother, the child was claimed by the husband, but of course the child was not begotten by the husband. This sarcastic remark pointed out that Dhritarashtra was falsely claiming the throne on hereditary grounds. Actually, Pandu had been the rightful king, and in the presence of Pandu's sons, the Pandavas, Dhritarashtra should not have occupied the throne.
Akrura said, "My dear son of Vichitravirya, you have unlawfully usurped the throne of the Pandavas. Anyway, somehow or other, you are now on the throne. Therefore, I beg to advise you to please rule the kingdom on moral and ethical principles. If you do so and try to please your subjects in that way, your name and fame will be perpetual." Akrura.
Just put your mouth in front of the mic. You kind of have it to the side.
Okay.
A little louder.
Is it better now? Okay. Akrura hinted that although Dhritarashtra was ill-treating his nephews, the Pandavas, they happened to be his subjects. Even if you treat them not as the owners of the throne, but as your subjects, you should impartially think of their welfare as though they were your own sons. But if you do not follow this principle and act in just the opposite way, you will be unpopular among your subjects, and in the next life, you will have to live in hellish conditions. I therefore hope you will treat your sons and the sons of Pandu equally. Akrura hinted that if Dhritarashtra did not treat the Pandavas and his sons as equals, surely there would be a fight between the two camps of cousins, since the Pandavas' cause was just, they would come out victorious, and the sons of Dhritarashtra would be killed. This was a prophecy told by Akrura to Dhritarashtra.
So hold the mic right to your mouth. And speak loudly and clearly and slowly with feeling.
Akrura further advised Dhritarashtra, "In this material world, no one can remain an eternal companion to another. Only by chance do we assemble together in a family, society, community, or nation. But at the end, because every one of us has to give up the body, we must be separated. One should not, therefore, be unnecessarily affectionate toward family members." Dhritarashtra's affection was also unlawful and did not show much intelligence. In plain words, Akrura hinted to Dhritarashtra that this staunch family affection was due to his gross ignorance of fact or his blindness to moral principles. Although we appear combined together in a family, society, or nation, each of us has an individual destiny. Everyone takes birth according to individual past work. Therefore, everyone must individually enjoy or suffer the result of his own karma. There is no possibility of improving one's destiny by cooperative living. Sometimes it happens that one's father accumulates wealth by illegal ways, and the son takes away the money, although it was earned with great difficulty by the father, just as a small fish in the ocean eats the material body of a large old fish. One ultimately cannot accumulate wealth illegally for the gratification of his family, society, community, or nation. An illustration of this principle is that many great empires which developed in the past are no longer existing because their wealth was squandered away by later descendants. One who does not know this subtle law of fruitive activities and who thus gives up the moral and ethical principles carries with him only the reactions of his sinful activities.
His ill-gotten wealth and possessions are taken by someone else, and he goes to the darkest region of hellish life. One should not, therefore, accumulate more wealth than allotted to him by destiny. Otherwise, he will be factually blind to his own interest. Instead of fulfilling his self-interest, he will act in just the opposite way for his own downfall.
Akura continued, My dear Dhritarashtra, I beg to advise you not to be blind to the facts of material existence. Material conditioned life, either in distress or in happiness, is to be accepted as a dream. One should try to bring his mind and senses under control and live peacefully for spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that except for persons in Krishna consciousness, everyone is always disturbed in mind and full of anxiety. Even those trying for liberation or merging into the Brahman effulgence and the yogis who try to achieve perfection in mystic power cannot have peace of mind. Pure devotees of Krishna have no demands to make of Krishna. They are simply satisfied with service to him. Actual peace and mental tranquility can be attained only in perfect Krishna consciousness.
Where are we? Yes, after hearing these after hearing these moral instructions from Akrura, Dhritarashtra replied, My dear Akrura, you are very charitable in giving me good instructions, but unfortunately, I cannot accept them. A person destined to die does not utilize the effects of nectar, although it may be administered to him. I can understand that your instructions are valuable. Unfortunately, they do not stay in my flickering mind, just as the glittering lightning in the sky does not stay fixed in a cloud. I can understand only that no one can stop the onward progress of the Supreme Will. I understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has appeared in the family of the Yadus to decrease the burdensome load on this earth.
Dhritarashtra hinted to Akrura that he had complete faith in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, he was very partial to his family members. In the very near future, Krishna would vanquish all the members of his family, and in a helpless condition, Dhritarashtra would take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. To show his special favor to a devotee, Krishna usually takes away all the objects of his material affections, thus forcing the devotee to be materially helpless, with no alternative but to receive the lotus feet of Krishna. This actually happened to Dhritarashtra after the end of the battle of Kurukshetra.
Dhritarashtra could realize two opposing factors acting before him. He could understand that Krishna was there to remove all the unnecessary burdens of the world. His sons were an unnecessary burden, and so he expected that they would be killed. At the same time, he could not rid himself of his unlawful affection for his sons. Understanding these two contradictory factors, he offered his respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The contradictory base of material existence are very difficult to understand. They can be taken only as the inconceivable execution of the plan of the Supreme, who by his inconceivable energy creates this material world and enters into it and sets into motion the three modes of nature. When everything is created, he enters into each and every living entity and into the smallest atom. No one can understand the incalculable plans of the Supreme Lord.
After hearing this statement, Akura could clearly understand that Dhritarashtra was not going to change his policy of discriminating against the Pandavas in favor of his sons. He at once took leave of his friends in Hastinapur and returned to his home in the kingdom of the Yadus. After returning home, he vividly informed Lord Krishna and Balaram of the actual situation in Hastinapur and the intentions of Dhritarashtra. Akura was sent to Hastinapur by Krishna to study these, and by the grace of the Lord he was successful. Thus ends the Bhakti-Vedanta purport of the 49th chapter of Krishna, Ill-Motivated Dhritarashtra. Haribol!
Chapter 50.
Hare Krishna. Chapter 50. Krishna erects the Dwarka fort. Upon Kamsa's death, his two wives became widows. According to Vedic civilization, a woman is never independent. She has 3 stages of life. In childhood, a woman should live under the protection of her father. A youthful woman should live under the protection of her young husband, and in the event of death of her husband, she should live under the protection of her grown-up sons. Or if she has no grown-up sons, she must go back to her father and live as a widow under his protection. It appears that Kamsa had no grown-up sons. Therefore, after his wives became widows, they returned to the shelter of their father. Kamsa had 2 queens, Asti and Prapti, and both happened to be the daughters of King Jarasandha, the lord of the Bihar province, known in those days as Magad. After reaching home, the 2 queens explained their awkward position following Kamsa's death. The king of Magad, Jarasandha, was mortified on hearing of the pitiable condition of his daughters. When informed of the death of Kamsa, Jarasandha decided on the spot that he would rid the world of all the members of the Yadu dynasty. He decided that since Krishna had killed Kamsa, the whole dynasty of the Yadus should be killed.
He began to make extensive arrangements to attack the kingdom of Mathura with his innumerable military phalanxes, consisting of many thousands of chariots, horses, elephants, and infantry soldiers. Jarasandha prepared 13 such military phalanx to retaliate the death of Kamsa. Taking with him all his military strength, he attacked the capital of the Yadu kings, Mathura, surrounding it from all directions. Sri Krishna, who appeared like an ordinary human being, saw the immense strength of Jarasandha, which appeared like an ocean about to cover a beach at any moment. He also perceived that the inhabitants of Mathura were overwhelmed with fear. He began to think within himself about his mission as an incarnation and how to tackle the present situation before him. He thought that since he was not going to conquer the kingdom of Magadha, to kill the king of Magadha, namely Jarasandha, was useless. His mission was to diminish the overburdening population of the whole world. Therefore, he took the opportunity to face so many men, chariots, elephants, and horses. The military strength of Jarasandha had appeared before him, and he decided to kill the entire force of Jarasandha so that he would go back and reorganize his military strength.
Where are we? Okay. While Lord Krishna was thinking in that way, two beautiful chariots, fully equipped with drivers, weapons, flags, and other paraphernalia, arrived for him from outer space. Krishna saw the two chariots present before him and immediately addressed his elder brother Balaram, who is also known as Shankarsana. My dear elder brother, best among the Aryans, you are the Lord of the universe, and specifically, you are the protector of the Yadu dynasty. The members of the Yadu dynasty sense great danger before the soldiers of Jarasandh, and they are very much aggrieved. Just to give them protection, your chariot is also here, filled with weapons. I request you to sit on your chariot and kill all these soldiers, the entire military strength of the enemy. The two of us have descended to this earth just to annihilate such unnecessary bellicose forces and give protection to the pious devotees. So we have the opportunity to fulfill our mission. Please let us execute it. Thus, Krishna and Balram, the descendants of Dasaraha, decided to annihilate the 13 military companies of Jarasandh.
After equipping themselves with military dress, Krishna and Balarama mounted their chariots. Krishna rode the chariot of which Daruka was the driver. With a small army, they came out of the city of Mathura, blowing their respective conch shells. Curiously enough, although the other party was equipped with greater military strength, when they heard the vibration of Krishna's conch shell, their hearts were shaken. When Zarasandha saw Balarama and Krishna, he was a little bit compassionate because they happened to be related to him as grandsons. He specifically addressed Krishna as Purushadhama, meaning the lowest among men. Actually, Krishna is known in all Vedic scriptures as Purushottama, the highest among men. Jarasandha had no intention of addressing Krishna as Purushottama, but great scholars have determined the true meaning of the word Purushadhama to be one who makes all other personalities go downward. Actually, no one can be equal to or greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Jarasandha said, "It will be a great dishonor for me to fight with boys like Krishna and Balram." Because Krishna had killed Kamsa, Jarasandha specifically addressed him as the killer of his own relatives. Kamsa had killed many of his own nephews, yet Jarasandha did not take notice. But because Krishna had killed his maternal uncle Kamsa, Jarasandha tried to criticize him. That is the way of demoniac dealings. Demons do not try to find their own faults or those of their friends, but try to find the faults of their enemies. Jarasandha also criticized Krishna for not even being a Kshatriya because he was raised by Maharaj Nanda. Krishna was not a Kshatriya but a Vaishya. Vaishyas are generally called Guptas, and the word Gupta can also be used to mean hidden. So Krishna was both hidden and raised by Nanda Maharaj. Jarasandha accused Krishna of three faults: that he killed his own maternal uncle, that he was not even a Kshatriya, and that he was hidden in his childhood. And therefore, Jarasandha felt ashamed to fight with him.
Next, he turned towards Balram and addressed him. You, Balrama, if you like, you can fight along with him. And if you have patience, then you can wait to be killed by my arrows. Thus, you can be promoted to heaven. It is stated in the Bhagavad-Gita that the Kshatriya can benefit in either of two ways while fighting. If a Kshatriya gains victory in the fight, he enjoys the results of victory. But even if killed, he is promoted to the heavenly kingdom. After hearing Jarasandha speak in that way, Krishna answered, My dear King Jarasandha, heroes do not talk much, rather they show their prowess. Because you are talking a great deal, it appears that you are assured of your death in this battle. We do not care to hear you any longer, for it is useless to hear the words of a person who is going to die or of one who is very distressed. To fight with Krishna, Jarasandha surrounded him from all sides with great military strength. As the sun appears covered by cloudy air and dust, Krishna, the Supreme Sun, was covered by the military strength of Jarasandha. Krishna's and Balram's chariots were marked with pictures of Garuda and palm trees, respectively. The women of Mathura all stood on the tops of the houses, palaces, and gates to see the wonderful fight. But when Krishna's chariot was surrounded by Jarasandha's military force and was no longer visible to them, they were so frightened that some of them fainted. Krishna saw himself overwhelmed by the military strength of Jarasandha. His small army of soldiers was being harassed, so he immediately took up his bow named Sharanga.
He took his arrows from their quiver, and one after another he set them on the bowstring and shot them toward the enemy. They were so accurate that the elephants, horses, and infantry soldiers of Jarasandha were quickly killed. The incessant arrows shot by Krishna appeared like a whirlwind of blazing fire, killing all the military strength of Jarasandha. As Krishna released his arrows, all the elephants gradually began to fall, their heads severed by the arrows. Similarly, all the horses fell, their necks severed, and the chariots fell also, along with their flags and the fighters and drivers of the chariots. Almost all the infantry soldiers fell on the field of battle, their heads, hands, and legs cut off. In this way, many thousands of elephants, horses, and men were killed, and their blood flowed just like the waves of a river. In that river, the severed arms of men appeared like snakes, and their heads like tortoises. The dead bodies of the elephants appeared like small islands, and the dead horses appeared like sharks. By the arrangement of the Supreme Will, there was a great river of blood filled with paraphernalia. The hands and legs of the infantry soldiers floated just like different kinds of fish. The hair of the soldiers floated like seaweed and moss, and the floating bows of the soldiers resembled waves of the river. And all the jewelry from the bodies of the soldiers and commanders seemed like many pebbles flowing down the river of blood. Krishna, so descriptive, Prabhupada.
Lord Balram, who is also known as Sankarsana, began to fight with his club in such a heroic way that the river of blood created by Krishna's overflooded. Cowards became very much afraid upon seeing the ghastly and horrible scene, and heroes began to talk delicately, delightedly among themselves about the heroism of the two brothers. Although Jarasandha was equipped with a vast ocean of military strength, the fighting of Krishna and Balram converted the whole situation into a ghastly scene far beyond ordinary fighting. Persons of ordinary merit cannot estimate how it could be possible, but when such activities are accepted as pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose will everything is possible, then this can be understood. The Supreme Personality of Godhead creates, maintains, and dissolves the cosmic manifestation merely by His will. For Him to create such a vast scene of devastation while fighting with an enemy is not so wonderful. And yet, because Krishna and Balram were fighting with Jarasandha just like ordinary human beings, the affair appeared wonderful.
When all the soldiers of Jarasandha had been killed and he was the only one left alive, suddenly he was very much depressed. Sri Balrama immediately arrested him with great strength, just as one lion catches another. But while Lord Balrama was binding Jarasandha with the rope of Varuna and ordinary ropes also, Lord Krishna, with a great plan in mind for the future, asked Lord Balarama not to arrest him. Krishna then released Jarasandha. As a great fighting hero, Jarasandha was ashamed, and he decided that he would no longer live as a king but would resign from his position in the royal order and go to the forest to practice meditation under severe austerities and penances.
As he was returning home with his royal friends, however, they advised him not to retire, but to regain his strength to fight again with Krishna in the near future. The princely friends of Jarasandha instructed him that ordinarily it would have not been possible for him to be defeated by the strength of the Yadu kings. The defeat he had experienced was simply due to his ill luck. The princely order encouraged King Jarasandha. His fighting, they said, was certainly heroic. Therefore, he should not take his defeat very seriously, since it was due only to his past misdeeds. After all, there was no fault in his fighting.
In this way, Jarasandha, the king of Magadha province, having lost all his strength and having been insulted by his arrest and subsequent release, could do nothing but return to his kingdom. Thus, Lord Krishna conquered the soldiers of Jarasandha. Although Krishna's army was tiny in comparison to Jarasandha's, not a pinch of his strength was lost, whereas all of Jarasandha's men were killed. The denizens of heaven were very much pleased, and they offered their respects by chanting in glorification of the Lord and showering him with flowers, accepting the victory with great appreciation. Jarasandha returned to his kingdom, and Mathura city was saved from the danger of imminent attack. The citizens of Mathura organized the combined services of professional singers like Sutas and Magadhas, along with poets who could compose nice songs, and they began to chant the victory glorification of Lord Krishna. When Lord Krishna entered the city after the victory, many bugles, conches, and kettle drums sounded, and the vibrations of various musical instruments like bheris, turias, veenas, flutes, and mridangas all joined together to make a beautiful reception. While Krishna was entering, the whole city was cleansed. All the different streets and roads were sprinkled with water, and the inhabitants, being joyous, decorated their respective houses and shops with flags and festoons. The Brahmanas chanted Vedic mantras at numerous places. The people constructed road crossings and gates at entrances to lanes and streets. When Lord Krishna was entering the nicely decorated city of Mathura in a festive attitude, the ladies and girls of Mathura prepared different kinds of flower garlands to make the ceremony most auspicious. In accordance with the Vedic custom, they took yogurt mixed with fresh green grass and strewed it here and there to make the victory jubilation even more auspicious. As Krishna passed through the street, all the ladies and women regarded him with eyes bright with great affection. Krishna and Balram carried various kinds of ornaments, jewels, and other booty carefully collected from the battlefield and presented it all to King Ugrasen. Krishna thus offered his respect to his grandfather because Ugrasen was at that time the crowned king of the Yadu dynasty.
Jarasandha, the king of Magadha, besieged the city of Mathura not only once, but 17 times in the same way, equipped with the same number of military phalanx. Each and every time he was defeated and all his soldiers were killed by Krishna, and each time he had to return home disappointed. Each time the princely order of the Yadu dynasty arrested Jarasandha in the same way and again released him in an insulting manner, and each time Jarasandha shamelessly returned home. Keep going. Okay, I will read more. Okay. While Jarasandha was attempting his 18th attack, a Javana king somewhere to the south of Mathura became attracted by the opulence of the Yadu dynasty and also attacked the city. It is said that the king of Yavanas, known as Kalayavana, was induced to attack by Narada. This story is narrated in the Vishnu Purana. Once Ganga Muni, the priest of the Yadu dynasty, was taunted by his brother-in-law. When the king of the Yadu dynasty heard the taunt they laughed to him, and Ganga Muni became angry at the Yadu kings. He decided that he would produce someone who would be very fearful to the Yadu dynasty, so he pleased Lord Shiva and received from him the benediction of a son. He begot the son Kalavayana in the wife of Yavana king. This Kalavayavana inquired from Narada, "Who are the most powerful king in the world?" Narada informed him that the Yadus were the most powerful. Thus informed, Kalayavana attacked the city of Mathura at the same time that Jarasandha tried to attack it, for the 18th time. Kalayavana was very eager to declare war on a king of the world who would be a suitable combatant for him, but he had not found any. However, being informed about Mathura by Narada, he thought it wise to attack the city with 30 million Yavana soldiers.
When Mathura was thus besieged, Lord Sri Krishna began to consider, in consultation with Baladev, how much the Yadu dynasty was in distress, being threatened by the attacks of two formidable enemies, Jarasandha and Kalyavana. Time was growing short. Kalyavana was already besieging Mathura from all sides, and it was expected that the day after next Jarasandha would also come, equipped with the same number of divisions of soldiers as in his previous 17 attempts. Krishna was certain that Jarasandha would take advantage of the opportunity to capture Mathura when it was also being besieged by Kalyavana. He therefore thought it wise to take precautionary measures for defending against an attack upon Mathura from two strategic points. If both Krishna and Balram were engaged in fighting with Kalyavana at one place, Jarasandha might come at another to attack the whole Yadu family and take his revenge. Jarasandh was very powerful, and having been defeated 17 times, he might vengefully kill the members of the Yadu family or arrest them and take them to his kingdom. Krishna therefore decided to construct a formidable fort where no two-legged animal, either man or demon, could enter. He decided to keep his relatives there so that he would then be free to fight the enemy. It appears that formerly Dwarka was also part of the kingdom of Mathura. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that Krishna constructed the fort in the midst of the sea. Remnants of the fort Krishna constructed still exist in the Bay of Dwarka.
Krishna first of all constructed a very strong wall covering 96 square miles, and the wall itself was within the sea. It was certainly wonderful and was planned and constructed. By Vishwakarma. No ordinary architect could construct such a fort within the sea, but an architect like Vishwakarma, who is considered to be the engineer among the demigods, can execute such wonderful craftsmanship anywhere in the universe. If huge planets can float in weightlessness in outer space by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, surely the architectural construction of a fort covering 96 square miles within the sea was not very wonderful.
It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that this new, well-constructed city, developed within the sea, had regular planned roads, streets and lanes. There were also well-planned parks and gardens filled with plants known as kalpavrikshas or desire trees. These desire trees are not like the ordinary trees of the material world. The desire trees are found in the spiritual world. By Krishna's supreme will, everything is possible. So such desire trees were planted in Dwarka, the city constructed by Krishna. The city was also filled with many palaces and gopuras or big gates. These gopuras are still found in some of the larger temples. They are very high and constructed with fine artistic skills. Such palaces and gates held golden water pots. These water pots on the gates or on the palaces are considered auspicious signs.
Almost all the palaces were skyscrapers. In each and every house, there were underground rooms containing big golden and silver pots for stocking grain. And there were many golden water pots within the rooms. The bedrooms were all bedecked with jewels, and the floors were mosaic pavements of Marakata jewels. The Vishnu deity, worshipped by the descendants of Yadu, was installed in each house in the city. The residential quarters were so arranged that the different castes, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, had their respective quarters. It appears from this that the caste system mentioned in the Bhagavad-Gita existed even at that time. In the center of the city was a residence made specifically for King Ugrasen. This was the most dazzling of all the houses.
When the demigod Indra saw that Krishna was constructing a particular city of his own choice, he sent the celebrated Parijata tree of the heavenly planets to be planted in the new city, and also sent a parliamentary house, Sudharma. The specific quality of this assembly house was that anyone participating in a meeting within it would overcome the influence of invalidity due to old age. The demigod Varuna presented a horse which was all white except for black ears and which could run at the speed of the mind. Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, presented the art of attaining the 8 perfectional stages of material opulence. In this way, all the demigods began to present their respective gifts according to their different capacities. There are 33 million demigods, each entrusted with a particular department of universal management. All the demigods took the opportunity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's constructing a city of his own choice to present their respective gifts, making the city of Dwarka unique within the universe. This proves that while there are undoubtedly innumerable demigods, none of them is independent of Krishna. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna is the Supreme Master, and all others are his servants. So all the demigods took the opportunity to render service to Krishna when he was personally present within this universe. This example should be followed by all, especially those who are Krishna conscious, for they should serve Krishna by their respective abilities.
When the new city was fully constructed according to plan, Krishna transferred all the inhabitants of Mathura and installed Sri Balram as the city father. After this, he consulted with Balram, and being garlanded with the lotus flower, but carrying no weapons, he came out of the city to meet Kalyavan, who had already surrounded Mathura. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 50th chapter of Krishna. Krishna erects the Dwarka fort. Hari Bol!
Do we start or?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Start? Start? Should we start? 5 minutes?
Yeah, I will take more. Now we'll start. Chapter 51. The deliverance of Muchikanda. When Krishna came out of the city, Kalyavan, who had never seen Krishna before, saw him to be extraordinarily beautiful, dressed in yellow garment. Passing through Kalyavan's assembly of soldiers, Krishna appeared like the moon in the sky, passing through the assembled clouds. Kalyavan was fortunate enough to see the lines of Srivatsa, a particular impression on the chest of Sri Krishna, and the Kaustuba jewel he was wearing. Kalyavan saw him, however, in his Vishnu forms, with a well-built body, 4 hands, and eyes like the petals of newly blooming lotus. Krishna appeared blissful, with a handsome forehead and beautiful smiling face, restless eyebrows, and moving earrings. Before seeing Krishna, Kalyavan had heard about him from Narada, and now the description of Narada were confirmed. Kalyavan noticed Krishna's specific marks and jewels on his chest, his beautiful garland of lotus flowers, his lotus-like eyes, and similar beautiful bodily features. He concluded that this beautiful personality must be Vasudeva, for every description of he had previously heard from Narada was substantiated by the presence of Krishna. Kalyavan was astonished to see Krishna passing through his army without any weapons in his hands and without any chariot. He was simply walking on foot. Kalyavan had come to fight with Krishna, and yet he had sufficient principles not to take up any kinds of weapons. He decided to fight with him hand to hand. Thus he prepared to capture Krishna and fight.
Krishna, however, went ahead without looking at Kalyavana. Kalyavana followed him with a desire to capture him, but in spite of his swift running, he could not capture Krishna. Krishna cannot be captured even by great yogis traveling at the speed of the mind. He can be captured only by those who follow the path of devotional service. And Kalyavana was not practiced in devotional service. He wanted to capture Krishna, and since he could not do so, he followed him from behind.
Kalyavana began running very fast, thinking, "Now I am nearer, I will capture him." But he could not. Krishna led him far away and entered the cave of a hill. Kalyavana thought that Krishna was trying to avoid fighting him and was therefore taking shelter of the cave. He rebuked him with the following words, "Oh, Krishna, I heard that you are a great hero born in the dynasty of Yadu, but I see that you are running away from fighting like a coward. It is not worthy of your good name and family tradition." Kalyavana was following, running very fast, but he could not catch Krishna because he was not freed from all contaminations of his sinful life.
According to Vedic culture, anyone who does not follow the regulative principles observed by the higher castes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, or even those observed by the laborer class, the Shudras, is called a Malecha or Yavana. The Vedic social situation is so planned that persons accepted as Shudras can gradually be elevated to the position of Brahmanas by the cultural advancement known as samskara or the purificatory process. The verdict of the Vedic scriptures is that no one becomes a Brahmana or a Malecha simply by birth. By birth, everyone is accepted as a Shudra. One has to elevate himself by the purificatory process to the stage of Brahmanical life. If he degrades himself further, he is then called a Malecha or Yavana. Kalyavana belonged to the class of Malechas or Yavanas. Contaminated by sinful activities, he could not approach Krishna. The principles from which higher class men are restricted, namely illicit sexual indulgence, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication, are an integral part of the lives of the Malechas and Yavanas. Being bound by such sinful activities, one cannot make any advancement in God realization. The Bhagavad-Gita confirms that only one who is completely freed from all sinful reactions can engage in devotional service or Krishna consciousness.
Is that enough?
Thank you.
So that concludes our 1 hour of reading Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, we're so grateful that you allow us to come here and read to you. As we always do, let us offer respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to each other. Nama Om Vishnuvedaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskacha Deshatarane. And to each other, Vanchakalpa Durvyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Krishna book. Jai all the devotees. Jai Kartik Mas. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama